My husband abandoned our autistic son 11 years ago. I raised him alone through every challenge, every milestone, every sleepless night. At 16, my son built a $3.2 million app. Then my husband came back with a lawyer, claiming he was entitled to our son's money. I panicked. Our lawyer said we might lose. But my son calmly whispered, "Just let him talk." The conference room smelled like stale coffee and expensive cologne. Marcus, my ex-husband, sat across from me wearing a suit that probably cost more than 3 months of my mortgage. His lawyer, a woman with severe bangs and a briefcase that screamed litigation, had just finished laying out their case. Apparently, Marcus wanted half of everything Ethan had earned from his app. Ethan sat beside me, his noise-canceling headphones around his neck, his fingers drumming a pattern only he understood against the table's edge. At 16, my son had grown tall and angular, all elbows and concentration. He'd worn his gray hoodie despite my suggestion that maybe, just this once, he should dress up. But Ethan didn't do things because other people thought he should. He did things when they made sense to him. "Mr. Chen has parental rights that were never formally terminated," the lawyer was saying. Her name was Patricia something, and she spoke with the kind of confidence that comes from winning cases you probably shouldn't have won. Despite the lack of contact, the law is clear about parental entitlement to a minor's earnings in circumstances where we're divorced. My voice came out sharper than intended. He hasn't paid child support in 11 years. He hasn't called. He hasn't sent a birthday card. Patricia smiled, and it wasn't kind. "Divorce doesn't terminate parental rights, Mrs. Chen. And actually, the lack of a formal child support agreement works in our favor here. There's no documented abandonment, no legal paper trail showing Mr. Chen refused financial responsibility. Just an informal arrangement that dissolved." I looked at our lawyer, David, a kind man in his 50s who'd handled my divorce and had given me a discount because he felt sorry for me. His expression told me everything. We were in trouble. Ethan's drumming pattern changed. 3 taps, pause, 3 taps, pause. His anxiety tell. "Let me clarify our position," Patricia continued, sliding a document across the table. "We're not interested in litigation. We're prepared to settle for 40% of the app's sale price. That's $1,280,000. Very reasonable, considering Mr. Chen's legal standing." The number sat in the air like something rotten. 40%. Over $1 million. Marcus hadn't said a word yet. He was looking at Ethan with an expression I couldn't read. Pride? Calculation? Whatever it was made my stomach turn. "Ethan," David said gently. "Do you understand what's happening here?" My son stopped drumming. He looked at Marcus for the first time since we'd entered the room. "You're my biological father, Marcus Chen. You left when I was 5 years old because, in your words to Mom, you couldn't handle raising a broken kid. You moved to Portland. You remarried someone named Jennifer. You have 2 daughters, ages 7 and 9. Their names are Sophie and Claire." The temperature in the room dropped. Marcus's jaw tightened. "You work as a regional manager for a pharmaceutical company," Ethan continued, his voice perfectly even, the way it got when he was accessing information he'd memorized. "Your base salary is $87,000 annually, plus bonuses. You filed for bankruptcy in 2019. You currently have $3,247 in credit card debt and a mortgage on a 3-bedroom house in Beaverton." Patricia's pen had stopped moving. She was staring at Ethan. "How do you," Marcus started. "You have a LinkedIn profile, a Facebook account you don't secure properly, and you post location data on your Instagram stories. Your wife Jennifer tags you in photos. You were at Seaside Beach 3 weeks ago. Sophie was building a sandcastle. Claire was collecting shells. You looked happy." I hadn't known Ethan had looked Marcus up. We never talked about his father. After the first few years of Ethan asking when Daddy was coming home, and me crying in the bathroom afterward, we developed an unspoken agreement. Marcus was a person who used to be in our lives. Nothing more. "My son's point," David said carefully, "is that Mr. Chen seems to have had ample opportunity to re-establish contact over the past 11 years and chose not to." "My client's personal life is irrelevant," Patricia shot back. "We're here to discuss legal entitlements, not feelings." Ethan leaned close to me. His breath smelled like the cinnamon gum he chewed when he was thinking hard. "Just let him talk," he whispered. I didn't understand, but I'd learned to trust Ethan's logic, even when it seemed sideways to me. "Fine," I said. "Marcus, you clearly have something you want to say. So say it." Marcus shifted in his chair. He'd aged badly. The cocky 28-year-old I'd married had turned into a 40-year-old man with thinning hair and the soft middle that comes from too many business lunches. But his eyes, those were the same. Still looking for the easy path. Look, Sarah, I know this seems harsh. But think about it from my perspective. I'm Ethan's father. Half of his DNA came from me. When I heard he'd created this app, sold it for millions, I mean, that's incredible. I'm proud of him. You're proud, I repeated. I am. And I started thinking, maybe this is a chance for us to reconnect. For me to be part of his life again. But also, and I'm being honest here, Jennifer and I are struggling. The medical bills from when Claire had her surgery, the mortgage, Jennifer's student loans. We're drowning, Sarah. This money could change our lives. There it was. The truth served up like it was reasonable. Like his financial problems were my son's responsibility. Your other daughters, Ethan said. Sophie and Claire. They go to private school. Cedar Hills Academy. Tuition is $18,000 per year per child. That's $36,000 annually. Marcus's face reddened. How the? It's on the school's website. They post photos from events. You're in several of them. There's one from a father-daughter dance last February. You're wearing a tuxedo. It's a rental from Men's Warehouse, style 342. Rental cost is approximately $180. Patricia was writing now, fast, and she looked annoyed. You also took a vacation to Disneyland 4 months ago, Ethan continued. 4-day park hopper passes for a family of 4 cost approximately $2,800, plus hotel and food. You stayed at the Grand Californian. Room rates start at $800 per night. Everybody deserves a vacation, Marcus said defensively. I agree, Ethan said. But you told Mom you couldn't afford child support. You said you were barely making rent. That was 11 years ago, yes, but your financial choices suggest a pattern of prioritizing discretionary spending over legal obligations. We're getting off track, Patricia interjected. My client's spending habits don't negate his parental rights. Actually, David said, perking up slightly, they might establish a pattern of financial irresponsibility that a judge would consider when determining if Mr. Chen's claim has merit. If he's been capable of providing support but chose not to, that looks a lot like voluntary abandonment. There was no formal support agreement, Patricia countered. Because he never paid a dime, I said, my voice rising. I worked double shifts at the hospital. I did medical transcription at night while Ethan slept. I sold my car and took the bus so I could afford his therapy sessions. Marcus sent one check, one time, for $200, and then nothing. For 11 years. The silence that followed was thick. Marcus wouldn't meet my eyes. I think, Ethan said quietly, we should hear what Marcus actually wants. Not what his lawyer says his legal rights are. What he, personally, wants. Patricia looked like she wanted to object, but Marcus held up a hand. I want to be part of your life, he said to Ethan. I want a relationship with you. I want to make up for lost time. And the money? Ethan asked. Marcus hesitated. The money would help. I won't lie. But that's not all this is about. What percentage of this is about the money? Ethan asked. Approximately. I don't, that's not a fair question. 70%? 80? 90? Ethan, come on. I'm trying to understand. You didn't contact me when I won the state science fair at 13. That was in the news. Portland stations covered it because I was the youngest winner in 20 years. You didn't reach out when I gave a TED Talk at 14. That video has 400,000 views. You didn't message me on my birthday, any birthday, for 11 years. But 3 weeks after TechCrunch covered my app's acquisition, your lawyers sent a letter. So I'm calculating the probability that this is primarily financially motivated, and it seems statistically significant. Marcus's face had gone from red to pale. You don't understand. I wanted to reach out. I didn't know how. I thought you hated me. I don't hate you, Ethan said. I don't feel strongly about you at all. You're a person I shared genetics with who chose not to participate in my life. That's just a fact. Something in Marcus crumbled. I could see it happen, the way his shoulders dropped, the way his hands fell to his lap. If we could return to the matter at hand, Patricia said, but she sounded less certain now. Yes, Ethan said. Let's discuss the app. OptiRoute. It's a logistics optimization program for delivery services. I developed it over 14 months. It uses machine learning algorithms to reduce fuel costs and delivery times by calculating optimal routes based on real-time traffic, weather patterns, and package priorities. He was in lecture mode now, the way he got when a topic interested him. I'd seen him explain things to his teachers like this, patient and thorough. The development required approximately 3,000 hours of work. I taught myself Python, JavaScript, and C++ using free online resources. Khan Academy, MIT OpenCourseWare, YouTube tutorials. I used our home computer, which Mom bought me for my 13th birthday. It cost $800. She paid it off in installments. I remembered. 6 months of payments, but Ethan had needed a better computer for school, and I'd wanted him to have something reliable. I beta tested the app with 3 local delivery companies who agreed to try it for free. The results showed an average efficiency improvement of 23%, which translated to significant cost savings. That data helped me pitch to larger companies. TechCore Solutions saw the demo and made an acquisition offer. None of this negates your father's rights, Patricia said. I'm establishing the work timeline, Ethan replied. During those 3,000 hours, Marcus Chen contributed 0 hours, $0, and 0 support. My mother, Sarah Chen, worked full-time as a nurse practitioner while also managing my medical appointments, therapy sessions, educational support meetings, and daily care. She contributed approximately 96,000 hours of childcare over 11 years, not including the time she spent working to provide financial support. He pulled out his phone and opened a spreadsheet. Of course he had a spreadsheet. Mom's average income over the past 11 years has been $62,000 annually. That's $682,000 total, minus taxes, approximately $520,000 net. Our living expenses average $3,800 per month, including rent, food, utilities, and my medical expenses. That's $501,600 over 11 years. My therapy alone cost $18,000 annually because insurance only covered a portion. That's $198,000. The numbers kept coming. Ethan had documented everything, every dollar, every expense. I'd never seen this spreadsheet. I didn't know he'd been keeping track. I also qualified for state assistance for children with disabilities. That paid for some occupational therapy and provided a small monthly supplement. That's government money, funded by taxpayers, not parental contribution. Marcus paid 0 child support, 0 medical expenses, 0 educational costs. Ethan, honey, I said softly. You don't have to. I need to finish, he said. They need to understand the full picture. He turned back to Marcus. You left because you said I was too difficult. Too much work. Too expensive. You told Mom that you didn't sign up to raise a kid who'd probably never be normal, never be independent, never contribute to society. I'd never told Ethan those exact words. I didn't know he'd heard the fight, that last terrible argument before Marcus walked out. Ethan had been 5, supposedly asleep upstairs. But he'd remembered. He'd remembered everything. You were wrong, Ethan continued. I graduated high school with a 4.0 GPA. I'm taking college courses online. I've been offered a full scholarship to MIT. I created something that people are willing to pay $3.2 million for. I am contributing to society. Marcus looked like he might be sick. But let's examine your legal argument, Ethan said. You claim parental rights to my earnings. The precedent is complicated. In most states, parents do have legal claim to a minor's income under certain circumstances. However, California Family Code Section 7505 states that a parent who has willfully abandoned a child may have their parental rights limited or terminated. The definition of willful abandonment includes failure to provide support when capable of doing so. David was leaning forward now, listening intently. You were capable, Ethan said to Marcus. You had a job. You had income. You chose not to provide support. That meets the legal definition. Additionally, I've established myself as an emancipated minor as of 3 months ago. I stared at him. You what? I filed for emancipation in June. The court date was in August. You signed the papers, Mom. You just didn't read all of them carefully. I remembered. A stack of documents David had sent over, something about updating Ethan's legal status for college applications. I'd skimmed them, trusted David, signed where he indicated. An emancipated minor has full legal control over their earnings, Ethan continued. Even if Marcus had a claim before, he doesn't now. The app was sold 4 weeks ago. I was legally emancipated at the time of sale. The money is mine, controlled by a trust I established, with Mom as the trustee. Patricia was flipping through her own papers, her expression darkening. You didn't disclose the emancipation in your initial documents. You didn't ask, David said, and he was smiling now. You assumed, filed your claim, and demanded this meeting. We've been waiting for you to present your case. This is, Patricia started. Over, Ethan said. This meeting is over. Marcus has no legal claim to my earnings. If he files suit, I'll counterclaim for 11 years of unpaid child support, which at California's guideline calculations would amount to approximately $187,000, plus interest. Marcus went white. You can't. I can. And I'll win. You documented your income with tax returns. You never paid support. It's very straightforward. But I don't have that kind of money, Marcus said. Then I suppose you'll need to figure something out, Ethan replied. Perhaps you could take out a loan. Or sell your house. Or ask Jennifer's parents for help. There are options. Ethan, I said, you don't really want to sue him. No, Ethan agreed. I don't. I'm not interested in his money. I'm interested in him leaving us alone. He looked at Patricia. If you withdraw your claim immediately, we won't pursue back child support. If you proceed, we'll file a countersuit and pursue the full amount plus legal fees. Those are the options. Patricia and Marcus exchanged a long look. I could see her calculating, see him deflating. We'll need to consult, Patricia said stiffly. You have until 5 o'clock today, Ethan said. After that, the offer expires. They left. Just stood up and left, Patricia moving fast, Marcus trailing behind like a balloon with the air leaking out. The door clicked shut. The three of us sat in the sudden silence. Emancipated? I finally said. It made sense, Ethan said. For financial purposes, for the app, for college. David explained it. The papers were all legitimate. You could have told me. You would have worried. You worry too much. I laughed, and it came out half-broken. I'm your mother. Worrying is the job. David was gathering his papers, trying not to smile too widely. That was the most prepared I've ever seen a 16-year-old in a legal setting. Heck, that was better than most adults I work with. I had time to research, Ethan said. They sent their initial letter 3 weeks ago. I've been preparing since then. The spreadsheet, I said. All those numbers about my expenses. I pay attention, Ethan said simply. I know what things cost. I know you ate ramen for dinner so I could have piano lessons. I know you worked Christmas Eve every year because holiday shifts pay time and a half. I know you drove a car with a broken air conditioner for 3 summers because fixing it meant not affording my sensory integration therapy. My throat was too tight to answer. I wanted to give that money back, Ethan continued. The $3.2 million. I wanted to pay you for everything you did. But you would have said no. You would have said you didn't do it for money. So I set up the trust instead. You're the trustee. You control it. But I wrote the terms. Half goes to a college fund, untouchable until I'm 18. The other half is for you. Ethan, I can't. It's already done. The lawyer said it's irrevocable. You can't refuse it. You can use it however you want. Pay off the house. Buy a new car. Take a vacation. Or just put it in savings and forget about it. But it's yours. I was crying now, trying to be quiet about it and failing. You gave me everything, Ethan said. Every single thing I needed to become this person. Marcus gave me DNA and then nothing else. The map is very clear on who deserves what. David excused himself quietly, leaving us alone. Ethan didn't hug me. He wasn't a hugger, never had been. But he moved his chair closer, until our arms were touching, until I could feel his solid presence beside me. Thank you, I whispered. You don't need to thank me. We're a team. We've always been a team. We sat there as the afternoon light shifted through the windows, as the building's air conditioning hummed its mechanical song, as the city moved on outside without knowing that my entire world had just shifted. At 4:47 p.m., David called. Patricia had sent the withdrawal letter. They wouldn't contest the emancipation, wouldn't pursue any claim. It was over. She also mentioned, David said, sounding amused, that her client would appreciate not being sued for back support. She didn't say it outright, but it was heavily implied. We won't sue, I said, looking at Ethan. He nodded. Tell her we won't pursue it. You're sure? You'd win easily. I'm sure. We don't need his money. We never did. After hanging up, I asked Ethan the question that had been nagging at me. When did you look Marcus up? When did you find out all that information about his life? Last year, Ethan said. I was curious. I wanted to see if he changed, if he'd become someone different. Someone who might have regretted leaving. And? He looked happy. He had a new family? He'd moved on completely. It answered my question. Did it hurt? Ethan considered this with his usual careful attention. Not the way I expected. I thought it would feel like rejection. But it just felt like information. He chose a different life. That's his right. But it's also my right to choose who I want in my life. And he's not chosen? He left when things were hard. He showed me who he is. I believe him. We drove home in my 12-year-old Honda, the one with a dent in the passenger door from when I backed into a pole during a particularly exhausting night shift. Ethan drummed his pattern on his knee, 3 taps, pause, 3 taps, pause. His anxiety was fading. Mom? He said as we pulled into our driveway. Yeah? I know I'm supposed to feel something about what happened today. Some kind of emotion about confronting Marcus, or winning, or whatever. But mostly I just feel tired. That's okay. There's no supposed to. You feel what you feel. Do you feel something? I thought about it. About Marcus's face when Ethan had recited his address, his salary, the names of his daughters. About the moment when everything had turned, when the power had shifted so completely. About the years of struggling, of wondering if I was doing enough, being enough. Relief, I said finally. I feel relieved. He can't hurt us anymore. He can't come back and claim any part of what we built. What we built, Ethan repeated. I like that. Inside, I made dinner while Ethan disappeared into his room to code. Some new project, always some new project. His mind never stopped moving. I sat at our kitchen table, the same scratch table I'd bought secondhand 11 years ago, and let myself really feel it. The weight lifting. The fear dissolving. The future opening up like a door I thought was locked. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I'm sorry. For everything. I hope Ethan knows I'm proud of him. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it without responding. Some apologies come too late to matter. Some bridges, once burned, aren't meant to be rebuilt. That night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened the folder I kept in my closet, the one with Ethan's early medical records, his diagnosis papers, the therapist's notes from those first difficult years. I kept them like evidence, like proof that I tried, that I'd done everything I could. There were photos too. Ethan at 3, wearing oversized headphones, his face serious. Ethan at 7, accepting a certificate for perfect attendance despite how hard school was for him. Ethan at 10, presenting his first science project, something about optimal angles for solar panels. Every photo, just the two of us. Sometimes my mom, before she passed. Sometimes Ethan's therapists or teachers. But never Marcus. He'd erased himself from our story, frame by frame. I kept these records like they were important. Like they proved something. But looking at them now, I realized they did prove something, just not what I thought. They proved that we'd done it. Built a life. Created something good and strong and real from what everyone else had said was impossible. The diagnosis doctor had told me to prepare for Ethan to need lifelong care. The school counselor had suggested maybe I should consider an institution, somewhere better equipped. Marcus's mother had said I was being cruel, raising him to expect a normal life when clearly he'd never have one. They'd all been wrong. So completely, utterly wrong. I put the folder back. I didn't need it anymore. In the morning, Ethan emerged from his room with new plans. He wanted to use some of his money to fund a scholarship for students with autism who were interested in technology. He had spreadsheets, naturally, showing how the fund could be structured, what the application process should look like, how to ensure it actually helped the kids who needed it most. I was lucky, he said. I had you. I had teachers who understood. I had access to therapy. A lot of kids don't have any of that. The scholarship could help. That's a wonderful idea. I want to call it the Sarah Chen Scholarship. Ethan, no, yes. You're the reason I got here. You're the reason any of this is possible. People should know that. We argued about it over breakfast. He won, of course. He usually did when he'd already made up his mind. The scholarship launched 6 months later. The first recipient was a 13-year-old girl from Sacramento who taught herself to code using library computers. Her video essay about algorithms made Ethan smile in that small, private way he had when something truly impressed him. "She's going to do something amazing," he said. "I can tell." Life moved forward. Ethan started at MIT at 17, a year early, studying computer science and artificial intelligence. He called every Sunday at 3 p.m., exactly, like clockwork. We'd talk about his projects, his roommate who left dishes in the sink, the professor who was brilliant but couldn't teach. Normal things. Extraordinary, ordinary things. I bought a house. Not big, not fancy, but with a yard and a room that could be Ethan's when he visited. I paid cash. The realtor kept waiting for me to need a mortgage application, and when I said I didn't, she looked at me differently. Like I was someone who had their life together. Maybe I did. Maybe I finally did. 2 years after that meeting in the conference room, I got a LinkedIn message from Marcus. He'd seen an article about Ethan's scholarship fund. He wanted to know if maybe, possibly, he could donate to it. Not a lot. He couldn't afford a lot. But something. I showed it to Ethan during one of his visits home. "What do you think?" I asked. "I think," Ethan said slowly, "that people contain multitudes. He can be the person who left and the person who wants to help. Both things can be true. Do you want to talk to him?" "No. But if he wants to donate to the scholarship, that's fine. The fund helps kids. That's what matters." I wrote back to Marcus. Brief, polite, professional. I sent the donation link. He contributed $500. It wasn't much in the scope of things, but it was something. A gesture. An acknowledgement. He never asked to meet Ethan. Never pushed for more contact. Maybe he'd learned something. Maybe he'd finally understood what he'd given up. Or maybe he just knew better than to try again. On Ethan's 18th birthday, we went to his favorite restaurant, a small Vietnamese place near campus that made pho the way he liked it, with extra herbs and lime on the side. He was legally an adult now, fully independent, though he'd been functionally independent for years. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if Marcus had stayed?" he asked. I considered lying, making it comfortable. But Ethan deserved honesty. Sometimes. Usually I think we're better off without him. But sometimes I wonder if having two parents would have made things easier. If you would have had more opportunities, more support. "We had enough," Ethan said. "We had exactly what we needed." You really believe that? I do. Marcus taught me something important, even though he didn't mean to. He taught me that DNA doesn't make someone family. Showing up makes someone family. Staying makes someone family. You stayed. Every single day, you stayed. The server brought our food. Steam rose from the bowls, fragrant and warm. "I'm proud of you," I said. I know I say it too much, but I am. Every single day, I'm proud of who you are. "I'm proud of you too," Ethan said. "You raised me? Everything I am came from what you taught me, what you showed me. If I'm someone worth being proud of, it's because you made me that way." We ate our pho. We talked about his upcoming internship, my plans to finally take that vacation to Hawaii I've been putting off forever, the new project he was working on with his research team. Normal things. Beautiful, normal things. That night, alone in my quiet house, I thought about that conference room, about Marcus's lawyer and her expensive briefcase, about the moment when Ethan had taken control so completely. About the fear I'd felt, the certainty that we were going to lose. We hadn't lost. We'd won. Not because of money, though the money helped. We'd won because we'd built something that couldn't be taken away. A relationship. A trust. A life. Marcus had walked away from Ethan because he thought our son was broken, impossible, too much work. He'd missed everything. The first time Ethan had coded a program that actually worked and had danced around the living room, all awkward limbs and pure joy. The night Ethan had explained quantum mechanics to me using metaphors about cooking until I almost understood. The moment when his first app user had sent him a thank you email saying the program had saved their business hours of work every week. All the tiny victories, the hard-won progress, the moments of connection and understanding and growth. Marcus had given up his chance to witness any of it. To be part of it. His loss. Our gain. I pulled out my laptop and did something I'd been thinking about for weeks. I started writing. Not a book, nothing that grand. Just our story. The real story, the one about a mom who didn't know what she was doing but did it anyway. About a kid who everyone underestimated. About how you build a life from scratch when the instructions are missing and half the world thinks you should give up. I wrote about the therapy sessions where Ethan had melted down because the texture of the Play-Doh was wrong. About the school meetings where I'd fought for accommodations. About the night I'd broken down crying in the grocery store because I couldn't afford both the organic vegetables and the weighted blanket Ethan's occupational therapist recommended. I wrote about the victories too. Ethan's first full sentence after months of speech therapy. His first friend, a quiet kid named David who liked bugs and didn't care that Ethan couldn't make eye contact. The science teacher in 8th grade who saw Ethan's potential and stayed after school twice a week to mentor him. I wrote until my hands cramped, until the words blurred, until the story was told. I didn't know if anyone would ever read it. That wasn't the point. The point was remembering, honoring, bearing witness to what we'd survived and built and become. When I finished, weeks later, I sent it to Ethan. His response came quickly: "This is our story. You should share it." So I did. I posted it online, on one of those parenting forums I used to lurk on during Ethan's worst years, when I needed to know I wasn't alone. The response surprised me. Hundreds of comments from other parents, other families, people who understood. Who'd fought the same fights, celebrated the same victories, felt the same exhaustion and determination and fierce, protective love. One message stood out. A woman whose ex-husband had left when their daughter was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. She'd raised her daughter alone for 8 years. Now the ex wanted back in because the daughter had won a settlement from a car accident. "What did you do?" she asked. "How did you handle it?" I thought about Ethan's calm voice in the conference room. Just let him talk. I wrote back, "Document everything. Know your rights. Trust your kid. They're stronger than anyone gives them credit for." She thanked me. Others did too. People shared their own stories, their own battles, their own versions of Marcus and Patricia, and conference rooms where the world tried to take what you built. I thought our story was unusual. Unique. But it wasn't. It was just one version of something that happened all the time. People leaving when things got hard. People coming back when things got profitable. Families figuring out how to survive anyway. The scholarship grew. Donations came in from unexpected places. A tech CEO who had an autistic son. A retired teacher who'd spent 40 years in special education. Regular people giving $20, $50, whatever they could afford. Ethan's second app sold for even more than the first. He gave most of it away, funding programs for disabled students, accessibility initiatives, research into better educational tools. "Money's just a tool," he told me. "I have more than I need. Other people need it more." At 20, he was recruited by 3 major tech companies. He turned them all down and started his own firm, focused on creating accessible technology. His team was half people with disabilities, something almost unheard of in Silicon Valley. "Traditional hiring is broken," he said when I asked about it. "Companies say they want diversity but they don't know how to actually support it. We're doing it differently." His company thrived. Not because of charity or good intentions, but because the products were excellent. Because diverse perspectives created better solutions. Because Ethan understood what it meant to interface with a world not built for you. I retired early from nursing, at 57. I didn't need to work anymore, but I did volunteer work at the local children's hospital, sitting with parents during long diagnoses, offering the kind of support I wished I'd had. Sometimes I'd meet families just getting the autism diagnosis. I'd see the fear in their eyes, the way they looked at their child and saw only obstacles and impossibilities. I'd tell them about Ethan. Not to brag, not to say their child would do the same. Just to show them that the story wasn't written yet. That the doctors and statistics and dire predictions weren't the whole truth. That love and consistency and refusing to give up counted for something. Some of them believed me. Some didn't. I understood. I wouldn't have believed me either, back when Ethan was 5 and Marcus was walking out the door and the future looked like nothing but struggle. But here we were. The future had arrived, and it was better than anything I'd imagined. One afternoon, several years after that conference room meeting, I ran into Marcus at a conference. Literally ran into him. I was rushing to a panel on disability advocacy, not watching where I was going, and we collided near the coffee station. "Sarah," he said. He looked older. Grayer. Tired. "Marcus." I stepped back, creating space. "I saw your name on the speaker list. I wanted to, I was hoping we could talk." I should have said no. Should have walked away. But curiosity got the better of me. 5 minutes, I said. We found a quiet corner. The conference hummed around us, Hundreds of people discussing policy and programs and best practices. I've been following Ethan's work, Marcus said. The company he started, the scholarship. It's really impressive. He's an impressive person. I know I don't have the right to say this, but I'm sorry. For leaving. For missing everything. For that day with the lawyers. I waited. Sorry was just a word. It needed more. Jennifer left me, he continued. 2 years ago. She said I never really showed up, even when I was physically there. That I always had one foot out the door. I didn't understand what she meant until recently. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? I'm sorry you're in pain. But I'm not sorry you're experiencing consequences. He flinched but nodded. Fair. I was hoping, I know Ethan doesn't want contact. But maybe someday. If he changes his mind. Could you tell him I'm here? That I'd like to know him? I'm not telling him anything. If you want to reach out, you can. He's an adult. He has email? But don't expect anything. He spent years building a life without you. He's happy. He's successful. He doesn't need you. I know. But maybe I need him. Then you should have thought of that 11 years ago. I walked away. Left him standing there, holding his coffee, looking lost. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt done. That night, I called Ethan, outside of our regular Sunday schedule. Is something wrong? He asked immediately. His mind always went to problems, solutions, fixing. Nothing's wrong. I ran into your father today. Silence. Then, how was that? Strange. He apologized. Said he wants contact. What did you say? I said if he wants to reach out, he can, but he shouldn't expect anything. Do you think I should talk to him? I think that's completely your decision. I don't have an opinion either way. More silence. Ethan processing, calculating probabilities. I don't think I want to, he said finally. Maybe that makes me cold. But I have a good life. I have you, I have friends, I have work I care about. Adding Marcus to that doesn't improve the equation. Then don't. You don't owe him anything. I know. I just wanted to make sure you were okay with that. Honey, I'm always okay with you doing what's right for you. Okay. Good. Also, I'm bringing someone home for Thanksgiving. If that's all right. Someone? Her name is Rebecca. She's in my graduate program. She likes data analysis and terrible puns and she laughs at my jokes. I smiled. She sounds perfect. I can't wait to meet her. She's excited to meet you too. I've told her a lot about you. After we hung up, I sat in my living room, in the house I'd bought with my son's gift, and let myself feel the fullness of it. The completeness. We'd made it. Through all of it, we'd made it. Ethan brought Rebecca home for Thanksgiving. She was lovely, warm, funny, patient with Ethan's need to explain things in excruciating detail. She asked me questions about nursing, about advocacy work, about the scholarship. Real questions, interested questions. Over pumpkin pie, she told me she'd read the essay I'd written, the one I'd posted online years ago. It helped me understand Ethan better, she said. But it was a beautiful story. About perseverance. About love. Thank you, I said. My little brother has Down syndrome, she continued. My parents went through a lot of what you described. The meetings, the therapy, the people who underestimated him. He's in college now. Studying hospitality management. He wants to run a hotel someday. I bet he will, I said. She smiled. I bet he will too. Watching Ethan with Rebecca, seeing how she understood him, how he relaxed around her, I felt something shift. He wasn't just my son anymore, the boy I'd raised and protected and fought for. He was his own person, building his own life, making his own choices. It was exactly what I'd wanted. Exactly what I'd worked for. And it was harder than I'd expected, letting go. Stepping back. Trusting that he'd be okay without me hovering. But he was okay. Better than okay. The scholarship gave out its 50th award. The recipient was a 19-year-old man with autism who'd developed a new communication app for non-speaking individuals. Ethan gave the keynote speech at the award ceremony. My mother taught me that disability isn't about being broken, he said. It's about the world being poorly designed. Our job isn't to fix ourselves. It's to build a better world. I cried. I wasn't embarrassed about it. After the ceremony, A journalist asked me what it felt like, watching my son succeed. Like everything was worth it, I said. Every hard day, every struggle, every moment I wanted to give up. Worth it. What would you say to other parents in similar situations? Stay. Whatever else you do, just stay. Show up. Keep trying. Your kids are watching. They'll remember who stayed. The article ran with a photo of Ethan and me together, smiling. Someone sent it to Marcus. I know because he emailed a brief message saying he'd seen it and that I'd done a good job. I deleted it without responding. Some people don't earn a reply. Years folded into each other. Ethan got married, Rebecca, of course. Their wedding was small, mostly family and close friends, with a sensory-friendly reception that included a quiet room and careful attention to lighting and sound. They had a daughter, Emma. She had Ethan's serious eyes and Rebecca's easy smile. Watching my son hold his baby, watching him be gentle and patient and present, I saw him see himself differently. Not as the boy who'd been abandoned. Not as the success story. Just as a father, doing his best. Emma was neurotypical, as far as anyone could tell. But Ethan and Rebecca were ready either way. They'd already picked therapists, researched schools, built a support network. I want her to have everything, Ethan told me. But more than that, I want her to know she's loved. No matter what. No conditions. She's lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have had you. I'm trying to be the parent you were. You're already better than I was. You actually know what you're doing. He laughed. No, I don't. I'm terrified all the time. Welcome to parenthood. The terror never stops. But watching him with Emma, I knew he'd be fine. He'd be better than fine. He'd learned from the best, not me, though I tried. He'd learned from his own childhood, from what he'd needed and received, and from what he'd needed and missed. He'd learned from Marcus too, in a way. Learned what not to do. Who not to be. Sometimes the lessons from absence matter as much as the lessons from presence. On Emma's second birthday, Marcus sent a card. Not to Ethan, but to me. A grandfather card, with a note asking if he could meet his granddaughter. I brought it to Ethan. What do you think? I asked. He read it carefully. I think he's asking the wrong person. Emma isn't his granddaughter unless I decide she is. And I haven't decided anything. Do you want to decide? Not yet. Maybe not ever. I don't know if I want her to know him. I don't know if that would help anyone. That's fair. We threw the card away together. Not angrily. Just done with it. But later that night, Ethan called me. I've been thinking, he said. About forgiveness. About whether I need to forgive Marcus to move forward. Do you think you do? I think forgiveness is overrated. People act like it's this necessary step, like you can't heal without it. But I'm healed. I'm happy. I have a good life. Not forgiving him hasn't hurt me. You sound certain. I am. He left. I don't owe him forgiveness. I don't owe him anything. And you're at peace with that? Completely. He's just a person I used to know. That's all he gets to be. I understood. Some people use their whole lives trying to reconcile with parents who hurt them, building bridges that keep collapsing. Ethan had looked at the broken bridge and decided to walk a different path. It was healthier. Cleaner. Better. The scholarship celebrated its 20th year. Over 300 students funded, dozens of success stories, countless lives changed. Ethan was invited to speak at a national education conference about disability inclusion. I went to watch him, sitting in the back of the auditorium as he talked about opportunity and accessibility and designing systems that worked for everyone, not just the majority. He was brilliant. Compelling. Funny, even. The audience loved him. Afterward, a man approached me in the lobby. Older, gray-haired, wearing an expensive watch. You're Sarah Chen, he said. Ethan's mother. I am. I'm Robert Vance. I run the Adaptive Technology Foundation. I wanted to tell you, your son is changing the world. The work he's doing, the way he's influencing the field. It's remarkable. Thank you. I'll tell him you said so. You should be very proud. I am. Every day. Robert handed me his card. If you ever want to get more involved in advocacy work, we're always looking for people with your experience. The parent perspective is invaluable. I took the card. Why not? I had time. I had experience. I had a story that might help someone. I joined the Foundation's advisory board. Started speaking at conferences myself, not about Ethan's success, but about the early years. About finding therapists and navigating school systems and fighting for services. About the practical reality of raising a disabled child. People responded. They had questions, needed advice, wanted to know they weren't alone. I could give them that. I could be the person I'd needed, back when Ethan was 5 and I was terrified and the future looked impossible. Full circle, in a way. One evening, a young woman approached me after a panel discussion. She was maybe 25, tears on her face. My son just got diagnosed, she said. He's 3. I don't know what to do. I'm so scared. I took her hands. You're going to be okay. Your son is going to be okay. It's going to be hard. But you're going to figure it out. How do you know? Because you're here. You're learning. You're trying. That's all it takes. She cried harder. His father left. Said he couldn't handle it. I'm alone. You're not alone. There's a whole community of parents who understand. We're here. I gave her my contact information. Connected her with resources. Followed up a week later to make sure she found a good therapist. She became one of many parents who reached out, who needed help, who were where I'd been. I helped when I could. Sometimes it was just listening. Sometimes it was practical advice. Sometimes it was just being proof that things could turn out okay. On Ethan's 30th birthday, I gave him a gift I'd been working on for months. A book. Not published, just bound and printed, a single copy. The Unfinished Story, the title read. Inside were all the essays I'd written over the years, along with new ones. Our whole journey, documented. The struggles, the victories, the moments of grace and moments of despair. Mom, he said, flipping through pages. It's for you. For Emma, someday. So you'll remember. So she'll know where she came from. He read in silence for several minutes. When he looked up, his eyes were wet. Thank you, he said. For everything. For this, for raising me, for never giving up. Thank you for being worth it. That's the thing though. I wasn't special. I was just a kid who needed help. No, I said firmly. You were always special. You always mattered. From the moment you were born, you mattered. We sat together, my son and I, in the home he'd bought with Rebecca, surrounded by evidence of the life he'd built. Photos on the walls, Emma's toys scattered across the floor, the comfortable chaos of a family. This was what we'd fought for. This normalcy. This peace. Marcus never met Emma. Never reached out again. I heard through the grapevine that he'd moved to Arizona, started over somewhere new. I hoped he was happy. I hoped he'd learned something. But mostly, I didn't think about him at all. He was a footnote in our story. A cautionary tale. A person who'd made his choice and had to live with it. We'd made our choice too. To stay. To build. To love without conditions. And that made all the difference.